You know, we have been playing Monifactory here for a little bit now. In fact, we're getting to the cusp of the extreme endgame, and I'm gonna be honest, I think we really only have about 10 or 15 episodes left of this series. But right now, we're kind of halted in progression by just one thing. That thing is the research station. So hello everybody and welcome to the next episode of Monifactory, where today I actually want to do a lot more than the research station. But we need the research station to do literally everything after this point. So yeah, that's what we're going to do to start. Now I haven't actually ever made the research station before. So I'm kind of winging this here. I'm hoping the quest book will be able to guide me enough. It doesn't look too bad, doesn't look too hard. It's just kind of just another power system, to be honest, which I'm not sure if it really needs it, but whatever. So for starters, we're actually going to need the research station. Now, this thing is pretty much just for... It's just a scanner. It's just a scanner, but fancy. And along with the research station, we're also going to need a computer. And I'm pretty sure the one we need is this high-performance computation array, I think. We'll see if that's actually right. But all of this looks pretty doable. Before that, we're going to need to get a whole bunch of parts together. I'm talking, and there's so much stuff involved in this. None of this I have ready to be auto-crafted. There is just a lot. So I think it's a great idea to start off this video with a bit of a montage. So I'm now at the point where I'm starting to use a scary amount of power. Like one of these ZPM mixers uses like upwards to 120 something thousand EU a tick. It's really ridiculous. Right now we're doing all right. Now, just in case we start losing power again, I have a timer on the right side of my screen willing to let me know. And if that happens, you guys will also see the timer. It's actually going right now, so I'm gonna try and finish this within 5 hours. I think right now we'll be okay. We seem to be making more power than we're losing, so right now we're all right. But that probably will change here in a minute. So like usual, we're racing against the clock. So I'm quickly gonna recap what happened in that little montage. A decent amount of things happened, but not too much. We started making our uranium rhodium dinaquidide ingots using tritium coils. I think these are my new favorite coils. We also started making PCB coolant, which this was really easy to do. And now, if everything has gone to plan, we should be able to auto-craft everything we need from here. So I have a lot of clicking ahead of me. Let's see how long this is going to take. So I should have just about everything that I need. I really hope I do. First up, we're going to want to make this high-performance computation array. Can I make this? No. I need more uranium, rhodium, dinaquidide ingots. You know, I guess a little overclocking never hurt anyone, did it? Our power is not going to like this, but it is just temporary. Surely I have the breathing room? Oh, yeah. Let's go ahead and do some overclocking, because we're going to need a lot of this stuff. Oh, yeah. Much better. So hopefully we're not waiting too long on that. Can I go ahead and make the research station? It looks like... Wow, that is a lot of stuff. Oh my, our iridium supplies are not going to like this, but it is necessary to do. We're going to go ahead and make the research station. So at some point, I would like a databank. I'm not super sure how they work. I'm pretty sure they're just data hatches, but you can store them in one central place. So we might do that at some point. We could put them somewhere in here, which actually brings me to the question of, where do I want to put these things? I should have planned for assembly floor 3 to have them, but as you can see, there's not really any room in here for it, so we're probably going to set them next to the clean room. And that also gives me an excuse to finally put a wall here. And would you look at that? My research station is being made. I'm probably losing power right now. Yeah. Yeah, I definitely am. Oh, wow. That is training a lot faster than I would like it to. We have no time to waste. Let's get to work. So I've started doing a little bit of designing over here for the computation stuff, which is just going to be pretty simple, just like everything else in the base. It's just going to go right here, but the research station is done. So I guess next up we can go ahead and make the data bank and a whole bunch of optical fiber cables. Can I just make like 1,000 of these? No. Can I make a stack? Yes. Yeah, so a lot of the stuff, it's really expensive. A lot of iridium, and I'm kind of curious on how my iridium supply is doing. It's doing okay, but that is definitely going to dwindle down as we keep going. So this databank thing is pretty big here, but it should be able to hold basically a whole bunch of data sticks and data orbs that I can send to different assembly lines up here. That way I don't have an overflow problem of data. I could put a data, I believe it's the reception hatch on this guy right here. And this way I don't have to find every single guy over and over. I can just have one data bank or maybe a few. We'll see. That connect up to all of my different assembly lines. All right, let's see if this works. Ah, there we go. Look at that. This runs at quite a high rate. If I were to put another data access hatch on here, like this is gonna go up a lot. Oh my gosh, yeah. Okay, let's try and get one more. How many of these can I put on here? Oh, I can put 4 on here, so I guess I might as well do that. It's gonna use LUV power now. But adding this reception hatch onto here for chaining of databanks is going to make it way more expensive. 184,000. And this thing should now be running as soon as I give it power. Yes, look at that. That is perfect. So now, if I were to connect up the fiber cable to right here, and I have to get this around the base, which I really wish there was a wireless way of doing this, but I'm just going to route this up through and to the assembly lines. Place one of these guys back here with a data reception hatch. And now, if I go down to the data bank, I should be able to put all of this stuff into here. So now, I should be able to craft, like I can try to craft a ZPM robot arm and it should still go through because this is getting data from the data bank downstairs. Yes, look at that, and that works. That is beautiful. All right, let's do the same thing for over here. Now, the one issue with this is that we actually need a separate data hatch for every single assembly line. I don't know why it's like that. That's so weird. But another transmission hatch, and I should be good to go. So what we could do instead of this really jank system is we could just have one assembly line, but I'm not sure how good that's going to be. So maybe at some point we'll parallelize the assembly lines so it's a little faster. But for right now, we kind of have to deal with the jankiness of the databank if we want to do it this way, which I kind of do. But all of this data should be getting transmitted to the assembly lines now, which is just amazing. Now I have so much more data storage for those 2 assembly lines. Next up, hopefully I can make the HPCA now. Yes. Oh, wow. This is probably really expensive. 64 IV circuits. You know, I guess those are pretty cheap for us now at this point, so that's not so bad. Now, I think this is going to be the bulk of the price for all of this. So now I just have to do a whole bunch of waiting. A lot of this waiting is going to be because of the circuits taking so long, because there's a lot of circuits required for this. So I'll be back when the bulk of this is done. Let's check on power too. Yeah, we have 2 hours to finish this. 2 hours to finish this before power just all breaks loose. Awesome. So my HPCA just finished now. How big is this thing? It's not too big. Okay. Not sure this is a good spot for it. And I think I'm going to try and put the research station like right here. Yeah, you know what? That'll be perfect. We'll have a nice little spot for this here. So here, as you can see, there's a lot going on. I don't think I can even make everything yet. I'm still waiting on a whole bunch of stuff. So I should now have everything also to make the HPCA. Definitely was not a cheap craft. Awesome, so this thing is now done. How much power does this thing need? This thing is not cheap at all. And I also think this thing needs more cooling, but I'm not quite sure what exactly I can change out for cooling. So I think we're gonna need this active cooling component instead of these heatsink components here that passive cool. And we should just need only 4 of these. So I'm hoping now with these on here, I should have just about everything that I need. Yes, and now I'm gonna need an input hatch for fluid. I should be able to do just like so with PCB coolant. Yes. At least I'm pretty sure that's what these guys use. Maybe I'm wrong, maybe I'm not, I don't know. But this should be working. We should be able to start doing research, finally. I've been at this for a few hours now. That 5-hour timer I had is now at 3.5 hours. But on the bright side, our power is looking a little bit better now that we've kind of laid off a bit on some of the crafting. We're still using a stupid amount of power, and we're definitely not really going to be gaining so much, so we do want to finish this as soon as possible so we can upgrade power. So you guys remember that timer I set? It's been another like hour and a half, maybe hour and a half-ish. I have been waiting for so many materials to make this research station, but I finally have everything to do it. And for the record, we are still losing power. Really fast, actually. We really don't have that much power, do we? But that's okay because we are, in fact, almost done with this. I cannot wait to finish this thing. And voila, it is formed. So I should be able to get some optic cable, grab data from here, and insert it into the research station. I'm hoping that works. We'll see. This guy is also going to need power. And now, for example, let's say I wanted to make maybe the recipe for the Naquata reactor for no particular reason. Hypothetically, all I would need to do was get a data orb and an Naquata bolt, right? To go into here, and then a data orb into here. Look at that. Oh my gosh. And this should also be running? Yes. Look at that. That is using so much power. Are you serious? Are you kidding me? That makes also a pretty neat noise, and this is really cramped in here, but we are making research. It's done. Oh my gosh. And finally, we can move on to upgrading power, something we've had to do for way too long now. We've had too many close calls. I'm tired of being on the clock again. So before we actually do anything Naquata reactor related, we have to set up a few different things. One of those things that we need is duranium. Now this is going to come from a fusion reactor. It doesn't look too bad. No famous last words, but basically we're going to need another fusion reactor for duranium. Now, I remember last time this being crazy expensive. Hopefully it's a little less expensive this time around, now that we have new circuits. And we have a whole bunch of stuff backlogged. So I could sit here all day and wait for all of this to craft, which it should be crafting right now. Yes, there we go. We have our fusion reactor. But I'm going to need a spot to hold these Naquata reactors because they won't exactly fit inside of the engine room, which means we're going to need to go down. So I think you guys know what that means. I haven't done a bit of building in a while, so I'm kind of excited for this. It's time for a building montage. Might be my favorite kind of montage. Yeah, I think I like this room. It's a smaller one. I made the bee a little scary because we're dealing with some nuclear stuff. I don't know, Naquata. I don't really know that that's a real element. I don't think it is. I think that's a Greg Tech thing. But I like this room. It's small. It's going to be able to hold 20 total Naquata reactors, which should be pretty good until we have to get more, in which case, I don't know what we're going to do. Maybe I should have made this room bigger. But in any case, we'll end up going down more once we upgrade to, I believe, the next tier of Naquata reactor. Yes, the large Naquata reactor, we're going to need to move down into another reactor room. But for right now, this is the current reactor room. It's a little bit of a parallel from the All the Mods 9 base, which was kind of the point. I wanted the reactor room. I kind of wanted to repeat that. But anyways, now it's time to start making some duranium. So we need another fusion reactor. So I think I might just put this one literally right on top of this one. I don't think you can wall share them, which is fine. I didn't intend to anyway. Ah, look at that. Okay, this terminal I am starting to like a little bit. Does make my life just a little bit easier here, but it did make some weird mistakes. So for duranium, we're going to need radon gas and liquid gallium. I'm not sure if we have liquid gallium on passive. So this should be making me my liquid gallium suite. I don't think I need to have that much of this stored, so I'm just going to put a storage bus on this guy. And that should be good to go. I should have my liquid gallium. So now in here, I'm gonna go ahead and get some cable. I'm going to lock all of the different output hatches to be water, so the duranium will only go through this output hatch. So this should output into this fluid solidifier with an ingot mold, and this we're gonna store into a drawer. So on the input hatch, everything here should be working basically as soon as I connect up to Emmy. Let's hope for the best. You should be filling up. Oh yeah. There we go, look at that. We are making liquid duranium. It's actually cheaper than making liquid europium, which I'm a fan of. So now that we have our duranium, we should have everything we need to craft the Nequata reactors. Now, at first, I'm only going to want to make 4, because, I mean, there's no way I'm going to need more than that, right? That's going to be 4 times 3 amps of ZPM power. Let me do the math for that real quick. That is roughly 1.5 million EU per tick. Which is, I mean, way more than what we're using right now. I mean, it could be more, right? But we also are supplementing it from the ECEs, so we're going to be sitting pretty. We're probably going to be making around 2.5 million EU after we do our Nequata reactors. But we're still not there yet. No. We don't want to have a repeat of what happened when we used the ECEs, or rather what we did nuclear craft. We don't want our substation blowing up because of too much power and our whole base shutting down. Now, luckily, I have fixed that a little bit because our ME system is now powered via the dynamos. In fact, you know what I might do starting now is just make the ME system, or the dynamo's only job to power the ME system. But what we need to do is, first of all, I am going to mute these finally. They were cool at first, but now when I'm in here, I kind of want to talk. So what we basically have to do is upgrade this system down here one more time. I'm going to have to move everything down by 1. I'm going to have to replace the dynamo hatch, the energy hatch, and then we should be good. Right? And then everything should be upgraded. We should have ZPM power. So we need to do some more research. So I'm going to want the substation dynamo hatch. I'm also going to need the ZPM 4 amp dynamo hatches. This is for the multi-blocks that we're about to make, which means we need the normal dynamo hatch. I would also like to make the ZPM energy hatch. So this is going to require us to do research on a normal dynamo hatch or an LUV dynamo hatch and an LUV energy hatch with 2 data orbs. And we should have more than enough computation to do this. So first, we're going to start with the LUV energy hatch. I love that noise. I really do love that noise. And this shouldn't take too long. What should I call this sound? Hey, I call the chemical bubble reacting sound the sound of greatness. What is this? The sound of science. I like that. We're sticking with it. You know, the one thing about this is it takes forever. It takes so long. There's so much science going on in my ears. So the ZPM energy hatch is done. Now it's time for the dynamo hatch. Awesome. So now the dynamo hatch is also done. These should just need a ZPM assembly line. Yeah, perfect. So now I should be able to do all the recipes for these. I'm first going to make a ZPM energy hatch. Oh yeah, and this we're going to go ahead and put on our assembler and I guess also our circuit assembler. Those would both be good to have. We should see this crafting right up here. Look at that. That is perfect. That takes so long. Oh my gosh. Awesome. So I've also taught my system everything. We should hopefully be able to make the substation dynamo hatch almost. I'm also going to want the 64 amp substation energy hatch. So hopefully all this should be good to go. I'm going to make 3 ZPM substation dynamo hatches. That should be perfectly fine. And I also have my 2 ZPM energy hatches to put on my assembler now. So I'm also going to need a new frequency for ZPM power. So the last of my substation hatch just finished. We should be able to go to the engine room. And the base is going to shut off for a minute. But basically, I need to move all these down by 1. I'm going to need a new transformer. 2 of the LUV transformers, to be exact. And then here, I need to change the energy hatches. This dynamo hatch will now become a ZPM one. And all these need to move down. Alrighty, so I just had a huge mishap. Apparently, I didn't set things up correctly last time. But now, everything should be working. I think right now, it's filling a whole bunch of buffers. If I had to guess. But power is getting back into the substation. Yeah, this is gradually going down. And I've also completely cut off the power that we were making from the dynamos. And we also now have ZPM power. So I should be able to get rid of this janky setup that I just made. Place it with some ZPM power and we should be all good. Sweet. So now that we have access to ZPM power, yeah, this is starting to even out here. It's time we make the Nequata reactors. So we should have just about everything we need for this. I'm hoping. We have the duranium. We just need to make spatial pylons. So can I make 4 Nequata reactors? It looks like I can, so let's go ahead and do it. We're also going to need 4 ZPM 4 amp dynamo hatches for the power output. These actually don't look too expensive. I bet our power is really struggling. Yeah, our power's struggling. We have an hour to get this done. So in my inventory, I should have just about everything I need for this. And I'm going to set up the reactors like so. They're going to share an input bus, and I guess they could also probably share an output bus, but I guess they can all share an output bus, actually. Then we have these spatial pylons. How tall are these guys? There are tritium coils in the middle, and that's surrounded by fusion glass. I'm going to put the dynamo hatches on the top, and this should be good. That should be everything. Yes, look at that. That's perfect. So these are all going to be on a P2P frequency. That is the input. And from there, they will just be sent to the network. So these should all be online. The P2P should all be online. Okay. Last up, there's a few things we need to automate. One of them could be Nequadria, so that we can get Nequadria bolts, because these last for a very long time inside of the Nequadria reactor. So for this, we're going to need an EBF with tritium coils, which is why I kept some here. And this needs to be run at ZPM. So just a little bit of this going on. We should see this guy turn on. Yeah, look at that. Perfect. Boom. Look at that. That's beautiful. So from here, we just need an extruder that makes bolts. Now, I think I might do that down here. We'll see. But this is basically the fuel for our reactor, so we are going to want a decent amount in storage and backlog. So we can put something just right here. So as soon as I connect this extruder up to the ME system, which this is just going to be making Nequadria bolts, it should start making them. And we should be able to then feed that into the reactors. So we should see this getting filled up. Yes, and we're making Nequadria bolts. Check that out. So they're going to have a ME output bus. Actually, this could probably just go into a trash can. But then we'll have ME input buses for the bolts, for the Nequadria bolts. So here I need to have the Nequadria bolts, and we should see this running as soon as I tell my system that this exists. So as soon as I do this, we should see those go down. Oh yeah, and these are now making power. Check that out. So in the engine room, we should see this being going up. It's not. All right, I seem to have fixed it. I got it to work somehow. I think the ME system just wasn't getting enough power for it, so now it should be. All right, so now that everything's working, we are making a lot of power. I'm curious as to see what's even using this much power. You know, this may also just be a lot of the tax that we're getting from here, which actually would not surprise me if a lot of this is tax we're getting from using EU P2P, which is fine. It's so broken that it's worth the 5% tax that we pay. But as we need more power, we can also just make more and more Nequadria reactors. But next up, now that we're making a lot more power, we're going to be using a lot more and whatnot. And the more and more times I change out the power situation, the more and more times I risk running out of power and basically ruining my run. Not really ruining my run, but my ME system would need a huge kickstart, which does get really annoying. So I want to upgrade power storage even more. So I should be able to make LUV power storage. This is just going to need a few assembly line recipes. And for this, we're just going to need to scan an IV energy orb. And this should be turned into the recipe for the LUV one. And from there, we can make the LUV power storages, which can hold a lot, a lot of power. So as soon as I put this guy into the databank, I should be able to make me some LUV power storage. Can I make 9 of these? Just about. I just need more HPIC chips. So it's just a bit of a waiting game for me, right? To get these HPIC chips wafers, then waiting for the crafts, then filling up the battery with new batteries. Alrighty, so I now have the 9 LUV Labotronic capacitor. This will take a while to do. A lot of waiting. Let's see if I can't upgrade this. And we're just going to add 9 more on top. The B is starting to get covered up here. This should form, and we should see this guy. Oh yeah, he can hold almost double that of what his power originally was. That is awesome. So later on, I might craft like 9 more. I don't think I can right now. No, I'm pretty close, but I'm going to craft 9 more. I might replace some of the IV capacitors. I might add more. We'll see. But I mean, this should be enough power storage for a while. And I'm going to continuously upgrade this as we go on. But hopefully this should do us enough for now. Anyways, guys, that is all the time I have for today. So if you guys did enjoy, please hit the like button down below. If you want to see more of me and more Monifactory, please hit subscribe. And I will see you guys in the next episode of Monifactory. Later!